There are moments when the heart breaks so deeply that words fall silent. When you can't even explain your pain to yourself, let alone to others. But it is in that silence, in those unseen tears, that Allah's mercy descends the heaviest. Grace isn't only found in healing. Sometimes, grace is the breaking. There are moments in life when pain becomes too deep for words. You try to speak, but the heaviness in your chest steals your voice. You want to pray, but even your dua feels trapped behind unspoken sorrow. In those moments of quiet despair, know this: Allah still hears you. The one who formed your heart understands every unspoken cry it makes. Even your silence is not lost on Him. Every tear that escapes your eyes, every breath you take while holding back pain, is a message sent directly to the one who never stops listening. Your brokenness is not a punishment. It is an invitation. When the world pulls away, Allah draws you near. Sometimes He breaks the heart to rebuild it in a way that can hold more light, more faith, and more peace than before. The pieces that fall apart are often the ones that were never meant to stay. Through the cracks, His mercy finds its way in. The pain that feels unbearable today may one day become the reason you find your way back to Him. Softer, humbler, more aware of a dependence on His grace. There is a hidden mercy in every wound. What you perceive as loss may actually be protection. What feels like rejection may be redirection. Allah removes what no longer serves your soul, even when you don't understand it. The storm that shattered your peace may have been sent to wash away everything that distanced you from Him. It is in those moments of deep confusion and heartbreak that faith is tested and strengthened. For those who hold on, even just by a thread, Allah promises a healing that is worth every tear. Healing, though, is not the absence of pain. It is not pretending you are okay. True healing is when your heart begins to rest, not because the ache has vanished, but because you find Allah in the middle of it. It's when your trust outweighs your fear and you stop asking, "When will this end?" and start whispering, "Ya Allah, stay with me through it." When His presence becomes your peace, the pain no longer defines you. His nearness does. And so, as you rise from your heartbreak, let it make you softer, not colder. Let it teach you compassion for others who are silently breaking too. Do not rush the healing. Grace takes time. Every tear, every sleepless night, every whispered prayer has been recorded and will never go unanswered. Your story does not end with pain. It begins with the one who can turn pain into purpose. If your heart is breaking today, know that grace is already on its way. You are seen, you are loved, and even when you are beyond words, Allah is nearer than your pain. When life shatters in ways you never expected, the first question that often comes is, why me? You begin to wonder if your heartbreak is a punishment, if somehow you have failed or fallen short. But what if it isn't punishment at all? What if it is a calling? Sometimes Allah allows your world to break, not to harm you, but to guide you back to what truly matters. What you see as the end may, in reality, be the gentle beginning of something sacred, a journey of rediscovery, of coming home to the one who never left. When the heart breaks, its pieces become windows through which light can finally enter. A person who has never been broken may not yet understand the sweetness of surrender. Pain humbles the soul. It strips away illusions of control and pride. In those moments when you have nothing left to hold on to, you realize the only one worth holding is Allah. The wound becomes the very doorway through which divine mercy pours in, shaping you, refining you, softening the edges of your heart until it beats again, not in arrogance or despair, but in remembrance. Sometimes the breaking is the lesson itself. When everything is taken away, you see what was never meant to define you. You learn that peace cannot come from people, possessions, or plans, because all of them can be taken in a heartbeat. What remains, when all else fades, is the relationship between you and your Creator. That bond becomes your lifeline, when the quiet strength that keeps you standing when everything else has fallen. The pain, though it feels unbearable, becomes the very reason you begin to live more consciously, more gently and more gratefully. In every breaking, there is also a rebuilding, but this time with divine design. Allah does not simply restore what was lost. He transforms the heart into something stronger and more beautiful than before. You begin to notice a new kind of strength within you, one that doesn't come from the absence of pain, but from surviving it with faith. You become more patient, more compassionate, and more aware of the fragile beauty of this world. Every scar turns into a reminder of how far you've come and how deeply you were carried when you couldn't walk on your own. So when your heart breaks, don't rush to escape it. Sit in the stillness of that pain and listen. Because somewhere within it, there is a whisper from your Creator calling you back to Him. The same Allah who allowed the breaking will bring the healing. Every tear you shed is seen. Every ache is written. And every loss carries a hidden mercy that you may only understand later. Brokenness, when accepted with faith, becomes the most sacred meeting place between the soul and the one who made it. It is easy to recognize Allah's mercy when life feels smooth, when joy flows freely and hearts are light. We see His blessings in the laughter of loved ones, in success, in comfort, and in moments that make the soul sing. But the truest test of faith comes when we can see His mercy in the moments of sorrow, when the heart is heavy and the world seems dark. Pain has a way of revealing what we cannot see in times of ease. The grief, the loss, the emptiness, these are not signs of abandonment, but of a deeper plan at work, one that our limited vision cannot yet comprehend. Sometimes what is taken from us feels unbearable, as though the world itself has conspired against our peace. We question, we despair, and we long for what is gone. But in reality, what Allah removes may be exactly what was holding us back from growth, from understanding, or from closeness to Him. The very thing that hurt us might have been a weight that distracted our hearts from the one who never leaves. Every loss, every disappointment carries a hidden purpose, a secret path leading us back to the shelter of divine mercy. Grief and hardship have a way of clearing the illusions we cling to. They strip away pride, false security, and attachments that seem permanent, but were always temporary. The storm that seems to break you is often the same storm that sweeps away everything that prevented your heart from turning fully to Allah. In the emptiness left behind, there is room for His guidance, His comfort, and His light to enter. What feels like destruction is, in truth, preparation for a renewal far greater than what we had before. It is in these moments of brokenness that faith deepens. The heart learns to lean on Allah alone, to trust even when understanding fails, and to surrender when control is impossible. Mercy that could not have been recognized in times of ease becomes clear through trials. The heartbreaks, the losses, and the disappointments are transformed into reminders that Allah's care never falters. In the silence of sorrow, His presence becomes more tangible, more real, and more comforting than any worldly comfort could ever be. Ultimately, the pain that seems so heavy today may be what shapes you into a stronger, wiser, and more compassionate soul tomorrow. The hardship that feels like an end is often the beginning of a deeper connection with the one who created you. Every tear shed, every longing felt, and every moment of grief carries within it a hidden blessing. The storm may break you temporarily, but it also clears your path back to Allah, showing you that even in sorrow, His mercy is always present, guiding, protecting, and preparing your heart for the grace that awaits. Healing is often misunderstood as the complete disappearance of pain, as if the heart will one day feel no ache and life will return to the way it was. But true healing is far deeper than that. It is not measured by the absence of sorrow or the fading of grief. It is measured by the presence of Allah within the heart, even in the midst of difficulty. When you can feel His closeness, His care, and His guidance while the wounds are still tender, that is when real restoration begins. Healing is not about erasing the past, but about finding strength and peace through it. There is a subtle beauty in learning to live alongside pain without letting it define you. The heart may still hurt, the tears may still come, and the memories may still sting, yet a sense of comfort starts to emerge from within. It is in these moments that Allah becomes the unseen companion, the source of solace, and the quiet reassurance that you are never truly alone. The presence of Allah transforms suffering from something that isolates you into something that draws you nearer to Him. The heart begins to rest in His mercy, finding warmth where emptiness once lived. Healing also teaches patience, because the process is not instant. It asks you to surrender, to trust, and to let go of the illusion that you can control every part of your journey. It is in this waiting and trusting that the heart matures. You start to notice that even in the silence, Allah is listening. Even in the ache, He is present. Every whispered prayer, every tear shed, every quiet moment of despair is received and met with divine care. The awareness of His presence turns every challenge into an opportunity for spiritual growth. As healing deepens, the heart learns to find peace not in circumstances changing, but in the One who never changes. It is no longer about waiting for the pain to end, but about discovering that Allah is enough to sustain the heart through it. This presence fills the emptiness, calms the restless mind, and reassures the soul. The heart that once felt fragile begins to feel anchored. It learns that even if the world remains uncertain and loss persists, the closeness of Allah is constant, and that is what gives life its enduring strength. Ultimately, healing is not about returning to the way things were. It is about growing into a new way of being. The heart learns to embrace life fully, with its joys and its sorrows, knowing that Allah walks beside it through every moment. The ache may remain, but it no longer dominates. Peace is no longer dependent on external comfort, but comes from the inner presence of the divine. In this way, the broken-hearted are not simply restored, they are transformed, finding resilience, hope, and grace even in the midst of ongoing struggle. There is a quiet strength in learning to wait, especially when the heart feels heavy and impatient for relief. Waiting is not a sign of weakness or delay. It is a sacred space where trust is tested and faith is deepened. When you allow yourself to sit in the uncertainty without rushing the outcome, you open your heart to a mercy that cannot be hurried. Every moment of longing, every tear that falls in the stillness of night, is witnessed and held with care. The heart learns that patience itself can be a form of devotion, a silent act of worship that draws you closer to Allah. In the waiting, there is an unseen transformation taking place. The heart begins to soften, learning to surrender its demands and control. Even when you cannot see the path ahead, there is a subtle guidance at work, shaping your understanding, refining your resilience, and nurturing hope. Each restless night and anxious thought becomes part of a process that is preparing you for a grace that is far greater than what you could have imagined. What feels like delay is often the perfect timing of divine wisdom. Patience in waiting also teaches the heart to rely on Allah alone. When everything else seems uncertain, the waiting becomes a reminder that He is the constant. Every whispered prayer, Even when it feels small or inadequate, is heard. Every tear, though unseen by human eyes, is counted and cherished. The heart learns to find comfort not in the end of its trials, but in the presence of the one who knows the beginning and end of every hardship. This trust transforms waiting from a burden into a sanctuary of spiritual growth. Waiting can also reveal the beauty of humility. It reminds the heart that it does not hold ultimate control and that not everything is meant to be forced or hurried. There is freedom in letting go of timelines and expectations, in understanding that Allah's knowledge surpasses our understanding. The process allows the heart to focus less on what is lacking and more on the quiet blessings that surround it, even in the midst of pain. It becomes clear that surrender is not giving up, but choosing to trust that what is meant for you will arrive at the right time. Ultimately, grace is found in the waiting itself. The moments of quiet endurance, the unseen struggles, and the patient whispers of the heart are all part of a divine tapestry being woven. Healing does not always come instantly, and clarity does not always arrive on our schedule, but every step of patient waiting draws you nearer to the mercy and comfort of Allah. In learning to wait, the heart discovers that the journey itself, with all its trials and silences, is a profound encounter with the divine, a place where hope, trust, and grace meet. After heartbreak, the heart stands at a crossroads, faced with a choice that shapes the path ahead. One path leads to bitterness, resentment, and walls that shut out the world in self-protection. The other path is softer, gentler, and more courageous, a willingness to open the heart again despite the pain. Choosing softness does not mean forgetting or ignoring the hurt. It means allowing the experience to refine your character rather than harden it. It is the act of trusting that your capacity to love and feel deeply is a gift, not a weakness, even when it has been tested. A soft heart is one that understands its own fragility and yet does not fear being vulnerable. It knows that pain will come, loss will come, and yet it still turns toward compassion and empathy. The broken-hearted who embrace softness recognize that bitterness is easy, but it builds walls that distance the soul from peace and from Allah. Softness requires courage because it asks you to be honest with yourself, to feel fully, and to trust that the one who sees your pain will guide you through it. This courage, nurtured in the heart of sorrow, becomes a profound spiritual strength. Choosing a softer heart means seeking comfort and hope not in people, circumstances, or fleeting possessions, but in the one who never leaves. When love, mercy, and hope are rooted in Allah, the heart is no longer dependent on the imperfect world. Human relationships may falter, dreams may shatter, and circumstances may disappoint, but the heart that turns to Allah finds an unshakable source of solace. It learns to flow with life's trials without losing its capacity for kindness, patience, and trust in divine wisdom. Softness is also a path to deeper understanding and empathy. When you have been hurt and yet remain open, you gain a sensitivity to the struggles of others. You are less likely to judge and more likely to extend compassion, because you have felt what it is to be broken. In this way, heartbreak becomes a teacher, guiding the heart to maturity, humility, and an awareness that real strength often wears the gentle guise of patience, forgiveness, and love. Ultimately, rising with a softer heart is a conscious choice to resist bitterness and embrace grace. It is the decision to let pain refine rather than define you, to let your sorrow bring you closer to Allah rather than push you away. By choosing softness, the heart finds freedom, peace, and the capacity to love fully once again. It is through this deliberate gentleness that the broken-hearted discover the true source of hope, the eternal presence that neither abandons nor fails, the one whose mercy and comfort are constant, even when the world is not. If your heart is breaking, know this: you are not forgotten, you are not unseen. The same Lord who split the sea for Musa, who calmed the fire for Abraham, will bring peace to your storm too. Sometimes being beyond words is exactly where grace begins.